Hey guys, in this month's top 5, I have another video where I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite shows that were tragically canceled. So we've all been there. We have a favorite TV show and then some network just up and cancels it out of nowhere and we're all left devastated and upset and angry and hurt and conflicted and confused. So yeah, this is actually what is this, part 5? Oh my god, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been doing my favorite canceled TV shows for like 5 years running now, because this is part 5, like I said. So yeah, I have a list of 5 shows here that were tragically canceled, and these are all shows that aired last year, actually. So yeah, well, let's get going. At number 5, Walker Independence. Now, this is what you need to know about Walker Independence. This is actually a spin-off of the remake of Walker Texas Ranger. The remake being called just simply Walker. Did that all make sense? I feel like some of that didn't make no sense. But either way, this is a spin-off show of the Walker remake TV show. Let's keep it simple. Obviously the remake of Walker that takes place in like the modern day and whatnot, and yet Walker Independence, its thing that it was doing is that it takes place in like the late 1800s in like a small town called Independence, and yeah, we have characters who are like related to characters from the Walker TV show and whatnot, you know, ancestors. um I personally really liked Walker Independence. Was it particularly good? Probably not. It's very cheesy and it's silly. It's on the CW network, so of course it's focusing on just overly hot young people who are dressed in anachronistic clothes and speaking anachronistically and whatnot. But you know what? That's okay. I knew that heading into this show. There was just something about Walker Independence that was just really fun, you know, because sometimes you just want to watch a fun, cheesy show, you know, full of hot, overly good-looking people. Um, so I did. I liked Walker Independence. It was fun and kind of hilarious in places. Yes, cheesy. I liked the cast of characters. Do not get me started on the guy playing the sheriff. Oh my god, I love the guy playing the sheriff. And yeah, this show, it just had the one season. It was tragically cut short, which I just don't understand, because I personally liked this spinoff way more than the actual Walker show. At number 4, Carnival Row. This is what you need to know about Carnival Row. Carnival Row had like 2 seasons, but in between each season, there was like a huge gap of time in between both seasons. And I think what befell poor Carnival Row was the fact that it was a victim of the COVID pandemic, pretty much. You know, having that big, huge, large gap in between the seasons because of COVID, you know, I think that did have, that made the show suffer. You know, people watched the first season, but then totally forgot to view in for the second season, or yeah, just probably didn't even have no interest in watching the second season, you know. This is what you need to know about Carnival Row. It takes place in kind of a made-up world that's very similar to our own world, but it's inhabited by supernatural type creatures, you know, fairy creatures. We have fairies and centaurs and things like that, you know. I just love the unique creative world building of this show. Just unlike any other fantasy show out there, you know. um I think the production design of the show is so wonderful. You know, especially like with the fairies, you know, they had just such wonderful looking wings, and it's like there was practical effects with the wings but also CGI effects with the wings that just blended kind of wonderfully together. And yeah, it starred Orlando Bloom and Cara Delevingne amongst a big large cast of characters. And yeah, the whole premise of this show, you know, being set in this fantasy world, the whole big thing is kind of a lot of the prejudice going on. You know, you have the humans versus the fae, if you will, and there's a big divide there, and the humans want to do away with the fae and destroy them and destroy their way of life and whatnot. So it's a big like battle between like the races, if you will. It's a battle between the races, a battle just amongst society as a whole. Like I said, the show just was so unique in its world building and its mythology and its lore, and they planned on going for multiple seasons. with this show, like 5+ years with this show. And yeah, like I said, the COVID pandemic kind of put a hamper and a damper on it. So it is. I'm kind of sad the show got canceled because the last season was really rushed. Like they were trying to at least tell the story they wanted to tell, but like it was like severely condensed. At number 3, Our Flag Means Death. Oh, this one was really rough when it got canceled. Our Flag Means Death was a Max TV show, had 2 seasons, and it starred Taika Waititi and Rhys Darby. And essentially, what you had with Our Flag Means Death, it was a 30-minute comedy show about pirates. And not just that, it was about gay pirates. It was like a gay romantic comedy with pirates. And I freaking loved this show. It was just so clever and different and unique in its concept and its premise, because a lot of times historical period dramas are just so dark and so serious. And yeah, since this was like created by Taika Waititi and whatnot, Taika Waititi was kind of doing his own unique Taika Waititi thing that he does, his own brand of humor and comedy and levity. And I love the fact that this show, piracy in general, piracy has always been about kind of the outcasts and the misfits. But yeah, this show definitely kind of goes a step further with that by having the whole cast as people from like the LGBTQ community and whatnot. You have characters who are either gay or lesbian or non-binary and whatnot. So I just loved this show for just its uniqueness in general, and its message of like hope and love and joy. And it was just such a fun show and made me laugh. Yes, it kind of fell apart, I think, in the second season, because I don't think the second season was as good as the first season. But it's like I kind of didn't really care about that because the show just put a smile on my face. Every week I would sit and watch it, and I would look forward to it and get excited if I was having just a bad day. So it's that type of show that it's not perfect, but if you're just having a bad day, it's just such a way to just calm down and cool down at the end of your day. At number 2, Shadow and Bone. My God, why? Why Netflix? Why? I am still angry and bitter about this. Shadow and Bone, it was a show on Netflix, had 2 seasons based off of the very, very extremely popular books by Leigh Bardugo. Yeah, why did this show get canceled? I just don't understand. I thought this show had a huge fan base. To me, on the outside, since I've never read these books, it seemed to me that the show had such a huge, wild fan base and people who were just rabid to devour this show. So it's just such a surprise it got canceled. And I really like this story. It is a young adult series, and I'm very particular and peculiar when it comes to young adults. It needs to be something kind of unique that's going to kind of grab my attention. What this story is about, it takes place in like a fictional fantasy world that's kind of similar to our world in some ways, because it's like heavily inspired by like Russian mythology and lore to some degree. It follows a young woman named Alina, and she has the power of like lights. Lights can just kind of come out of her hands and whatnot. So there's this whole big thing. Of course, it's a young adult series, and this young girl Alina, she's like seen as like the hope and the savior of this world, because there's this big dark magical wall that's like separating like a whole chunk of their world. And this big dark wall, it's kind of like Game of Thrones, with the big ice wall, but instead of a big ice wall, it's like a big shadowy dark wall. This wall, it needs to come down, and so the people of this world see Alina as kind of their hope and their savior to bring this wall down and to destroy like the darkness and destroy the evil within and all that good stuff. So I really just, I don't know, there was just something about the show. I liked the concept of it, even though it did have kind of your stereotypical tropes, young adult tropes in there. There was still something about it that I felt there was like nuance and depth and maturity. That was kind of my thing. I love the maturity of this show. There's no whiny teenagers in this show, in my opinion. They're all really mature and they all take things really seriously. And yeah, there's stakes. There are stakes to this world and people's actions and what they do. And yeah, my favorite character, you guys, was the Darkling, played by Ben Barnes. Whew, my God. And at number 1, the great, like Shadow and Bone, I am still really angry and bitter about The Great being canceled. Dear God, Hulu, what is wrong with you? What else is there to watch on Hulu? If you don't know what The Great was about, it was about the young Catherine the Great of Russia, her arrival into Russia and her marriage to her husband Peter, uh, Peter III, maybe I can't remember. And so it's their relationship, and the thing about The Great is that it's actually a satire, a comedy, and I like how at the very beginning of every single episode it would say a mostly true story. So it's letting you know, don't expect historical realism and historical accuracy with this show. We're kind of taking kernels of truth in there, but for the most part we're kind of messing around and doing our own thing. And yeah, it's a satire, and it's making commentary on a lot of stuff that's kind of much more modernly relevant, you know what I mean? And yeah, this show starred um, Elle Fanning and Nicholas Holt, and they were just brilliant. They were brilliant as Catherine and Peter. Yeah, what did we have? We had 3 seasons. Yeah, we had 3 seasons. All 3 seasons were absolutely brilliant and top notch. Just such impeccable writing on this show. Dear God, just the humor. Oh my God. But yeah, when the show needed to slow down and be more dramatic and serious, I think it did all that so well. In general too. Yeah, I'm just, like I said, I'm so angry and bitter that The Great got canceled. It was just sheer perfection in my eyes. It's a travesty. So, you guys, that is it for 5 TV shows that I love, but they were canceled. So, in the comments below, what shows have been canceled that you guys enjoy, that you were like, dear God, why did they cancel this show? What is wrong with you? So, that is it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.